Hi, this is Dina Rich, Broker Associate at Troy Giles Realty on sunny South Padre Island. And today I'd like to take a minute to talk about the perils of overpricing. Part 5, Common Pricing Myths. Now let's talk about some of the myths of overpricing. Myth number 1, a buyer is going to fall in love with my property and pay this price. Well, here's the problem with that scenario. When I'm working with a buyer, I'm required by my code of ethics to provide them with data on recent comparable sales. And it looks something like this. We use this data to formulate an offer that is in line with current market value. Additionally, a buyer who needs a loan is going to have the property appraised. So let's say a buyer, despite his or her agent's advice, decides to overpay for a property. Now let's see what happens. We write up the contract. The buyer goes to the bank. The bank says, we need an appraisal. Unfortunately, the value of the home is far less than the contract price. Then what happens? The bank says, sorry, no loan for you. And the deal blows up, and you're back on the market having lost valuable time. So let's look at part B of that myth. Okay, a cash buyer will fall in love with my property and pay that price. When I'm working with a cash buyer, I am still obligated to give them data on recent comparable sales, and that is how they will formulate their offer. Myth number 2. Sometimes sellers say, I want to base my price on the amount I want to walk away with from this sale. So again, what do I do when I'm working with a buyer? What I don't do is I don't say to the seller's agent, what does the seller want to net from this sale? If I did, the seller's agent would probably think, seriously? Instead, what I do is I provide that buyer with data on recent comparable sales. Myth number 3. Sometimes sellers will say, I want to base my list price on what I paid for it plus what I've put into this property. So again, when I'm working with a buyer, what do? Do I ask the seller's agent, how much did the seller pay and how much did they put into it? Seriously? No. Instead, once again, I provide the buyer with data on recent comparable sales. Thank you for letting me share with you the perils of overpricing.